Right now on Morning News Now, debate drama. This morning, the first presidential debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris called into question after the former president criticized ABC, the network hosting the debate, and the Harris campaign's push to keep mics open.
Let's do it with another network. I want to do it. You know, I won because of debates. Ask Biden.
Plus, a new appeal could revive Trump's classified documents case. We'll bring you the latest from the campaign trail to the courthouse. Developing this morning, heat of the moment. That's right, summer's not over yet. Tens of millions of people across the country waking up to more heat alerts, with some spots set to reach triple digits later today. We're tracking the conditions, the dangers, and how soon it could finally feel like fall. Plus, bite risk, a new warning from doctors about a potentially deadly mosquito-borne virus. What we know about the first human case in years and how you can keep your family safe. And calling out, new data shows Gen Z employees are up to twice as likely to call in sick compared to their older coworkers. We'll look at why and what we all could maybe learn from it. It's an interesting topic.
When I was younger, I never called in sick.
I know,
like
and I feel like we hardly ever do now, unless
exactly.
you have COVID and you're not supposed to come
You're not supposed to come in. Don't
exactly.
Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We begin this morning on the campaign trail, where the big debate is over, the debates themselves, with just 2 weeks to go until the first scheduled showdown between Vice President Harris and former President Trump. Mr. Trump is raising doubts he'll attend.
First, Mr. Trump questioned whether the debate could be fair. Now the latest issue centers on a new rule change proposed by the Harris campaign about muting microphones. Now, you might remember in that last face-off at the Biden campaign's request, well, one candidate spoke, the other's microphone was muted to prevent interruptions. Well, now the Harris campaign is asking for mics to be left on at all times.
Doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on. The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person.
For more on all this, we are joined by NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen. John, good to have you with us. So is this just back and forth bluster between the two campaigns, or could the debate really be in doubt?
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Savannah. Let me just say, by the way, you don't have to call in sick. You can say you're on assignment. It's one of the magic terms of the television industry when you're not there hosting. As far as the debates go, I think that the likelihood is that that they will go forward. Obviously, there's a little back and forth here, a little debate over the debates. But both candidates have an incentive to debate. Kamala Harris needs to, I believe, before this election is over, have some adversarial interviews, debates, that kind of thing. And Trump right now is trailing. So both of them have reason to do it.
John, our mics were down while we moved around the studio, so everybody didn't hear us rustling papers.
We muted our mics.
That got a big laugh out of the, yeah, exactly. That got a laugh out of the both of us on assignment. That's very true. Biden's campaign team, remember, of course, made microphone muting a condition of its debate. What's the thought process for the Harris campaign in wanting the opposite?
I think they believe that former President Trump will at times during the debate lose his stuff. For lack of a better, more appropriate morning term. And so I think they think that he will say things, that he will try to cut off Vice President Harris, that he will try to cut off moderators, that he will act boorishly, which we saw in the first debate of the presidential election in 2020. And so they think that is to her benefit. I also think they just want to throw in some wrinkles. You know, I think there is some desire on their part to basically, you know, get under Trump's skin a little bit.
Both campaigns, both candidates set to ramp up their campaigns as we head into this home stretch now with the conventions behind us. And the recent polls do show Harris is making major inroads in battleground states where Trump is now campaigning. What are you going to be watching for in the next week or two here?
I think it's all about trajectory. We've seen Kamala Harris unify the Democratic Party quickly, a lot of energy at the Democratic campaign last week. The Democratic convention last week. And, you know, the question is, does she continue on an upward trajectory and sort of break free of the very even fever that the United States electorate has had over the last 8 years, or do we see this settle back toward the kind of race that it was before she got in. You know, on the issues that Americans say they care most about, Trump had a lead on the economy, you know, in terms of immigration. And you know, it'll be interesting to see if that just sort of reverts to the mean or if Kamala Harris is ready to take off.
All right, Jonathan Allen. John, thank you so much.
There could be more legal trouble lurking around the corner for Mr. Trump this morning. That is because federal prosecutors are asking an appeals court to reinstate the classified documents case against the former president.
You might remember Judge Aileen Cannon throughout the case back in July. She said that special counsel Jack Smith's appointment to the case violated the U.S. Constitution. Mr. Trump had pleaded not guilty to charges that he willfully retained national defense information after he left office, and that he directed the deletion of security video at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida.
For more, we are joined by NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos. Danny, good morning. Thanks for joining us. So this was widely seen as one of the strongest cases brought against the former president. What is it that Smith is arguing here?
Judge Cannon's original decision went against decades of understanding of how Congress can essentially authorize the appointment of a special counsel and under the Constitution. She essentially says that a case called Nixon from literally decades ago, which everyone has understood as authorizing special counsels like these, was just, as she called it, dicta. And that's a fancy legal word for when judges write opinions, when they're basically just chit-chatting as opposed to actually saying what the law is. Even though almost everybody has understood Nixon to basically authorize the appointment of special counsels, she says that it doesn't. Jack Smith is now arguing that, yes, Congress authorized the appointment of this special counsel by the Attorney General. It is both constitutional and within the U.S. statutes governing appointment.
Let's talk about this appeal. How is it going to work? Is there a chance this ends up before the Supreme Court?
Yes, there is an almost certainty it ends up before the Supreme Court, which is so dramatic because many observers, including me, would point to Justice Clarence Thomas's concurring opinion in the Trump immunity case, where many said, and I tend to agree, that he essentially signaled to Judge Cannon, hey, by the way, here's an issue that really isn't at issue in the immunity case, but it's whether or not Jack Smith was lawfully appointed. And then, lo and behold, Judge Cannon essentially adopts that reasoning and throws out this case. She's really the only judge in, I could say, American history that has found this way. Almost every other judge in every other court has gone the other direction. But because it's a very interesting issue of law, likely to end up at the Supreme Court.
Before we let you go, I do want to switch gears and ask you about something else important down in Georgia. So Democrats are suing the Georgia State Election Board. This is over alterations they're trying to make to the certification process of the election results. What are those changes and what's the implication here?
So normally state law governs how an election goes. But like the federal government, when you have state law, you often have agencies. Since the law doesn't cover every possible situation, you have what's called rulemaking, where non-elected officials sort of write out rules, and those rules have the power of law. Well, the argument now is that in this lawsuit, they're saying that, well, the new rules allow county election board folks to demand information and conduct a reasonable inquiry as to whether or not the vote should be certified. And Democrats are saying that conflicts with Georgia law, and therefore these rules are no good. And Democrats obviously are concerned that this will allow Republican-controlled boards to basically gum up an election by demanding a reasonable inquiry. They don't define what is a reasonable inquiry, and without a definition, they could essentially bring an election to a halt while they demand information to certify the votes.
Danny Ceballos, we appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Summer might have saved its best for last as another heat wave moves across the country. In the Midwest, many states are seeing their hottest temperatures of the year. They're not the only ones feeling the burn. Heat alerts are now expanding to the Northeast in a summer that just does not seem to be letting up. NBC News correspondent Maggie Besta joins us now from Chicago with the latest on all this. Maggie, good morning. So I don't need to tell you an excessive heat warning is in place for Chicago where you are. Heat index expected to reach the triple digits. How are things looking there this morning?
Joe, they are bearable for the moment, as you can imagine, but we're bracing for what's to come. When you say triple digits, the heat index here in Chicago is expected to hit 115 degrees today. That's like what we talk about in Arizona and New Mexico, but this is with humidity. Obviously, this is the real field temperature. Our crew was out here today. They met a ton of people who admitted to us that they were indeed skipping work and or school to come here to Lake Michigan and seek refuge. So everyone really doing their best to just kind of make it through this, so to speak, staying inside as much as they can or coming to places like this. But it's about to get worse today and over the next couple of days. So everyone's really bracing for it.
Yeah, I mean, the heat also, of course, causing stress on schools. I mean, how's it impacting officials, parents, students who are returning to the classroom this time of year?
Yeah, yesterday was the first day of school for Chicago public schools, and the superintendent spoke yesterday immediately saying, hey, we know that we have some school buildings that are 100 years old or older. And he said, despite that, all of our classrooms, or at least all the rooms where we will put kids this week, have air conditioning. And he said, I want parents to know that kids will be safe. But we've seen outdoor activities canceled. No surprise there. We've seen the same thing like in Ohio and kind of other Midwest states. Milwaukee, Wisconsin canceling school yesterday as well, and this week amid this extreme heat. So everybody's doing their best to adjust. But it's definitely something school administrators and parents are thinking about.
Yeah, might be seeing a lot of indoor recess there over the next few days. Maggie, I also want to ask you, there was a thunderstorm that brought heavy rain and wind to the Twin Cities. That impacted the Minnesota State Fair, which is a huge deal in Minnesota. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I know, this video is insane. It kind of came in overnight. The rain came so quickly, along with 70-mile-an-hour straight-line winds. So there was some minor damage that we're hearing about, and we'll keep tabs on this to buildings on the fairgrounds and things like that. It sent people sprinting in what might be the most Midwest thing ever into the 4-H building, while there were students putting on some sort of like show with their farm animals and putting them on display. One person who apparently wanted a crowd for their kids' display tweeted, this actually rocks to have like a captive audience while these kids are doing what they're doing. But suffice it to say, either way, everyone was safe, which is good. We're not hearing about any injuries, but the video from those fairgrounds really shows how quickly these storm systems can build and move in, catching a lot of people off guard amid this kind of summer of severe weather, Joe.
Big crowds for those 4-H kids showing off their animals. All right, Maggie Besta, thank you so much.
It's a bright side.
Exactly.
Let's bring in meteorologist Angie Aspen for more on those heat alerts.
She's tracking all the severe storms making headlines this morning. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. We do have additional heat alerts that have been added throughout the morning, and I expect these will continue to add on as the day goes on. We've got more than 70 million people included in this. Most recently, it's parts of the Northeast, now New York, Harrisburg. This goes into portions of Pennsylvania, but a good chunk of the Midwest, a good chunk of parts of the Great Lakes as well. And this is going to be with us here as we go through at least the rest of your day today. So temperature-wise, you heard Maggie talking about it a little bit, but here's the deal. We've got high 90s, triple digits for the actual temperatures across this region, specifically some of the warmest spots that we see. St. Louis with 102. Feels like temperature, though, 109. So there's plenty of, yes, heat, but also humidity to tap into. And that's going to make all the difference for the oppressive conditions for folks like Chicago with a high of 98 degrees and it feels like temperature of 110. Cleveland, similar story. It'll feel like 100 for both Cincinnati and Cleveland later today. And unfortunately, if you're looking for some relief in this area, we're going to have to wait a little while. There is some on tap, but we've got to get through at least the next couple of days for a good chunk of this region before we get some of the cooler, more typical kind of temperatures back in the picture. So Louisville tomorrow, it'll feel like 101. We've got 101 for what it'll feel like in Charleston, Pittsburgh, more of the same. I mean, really, the 90s are going to stick with us. And notice Washington, D.C. and New York, high 90s for Washington, D.C. actual temperature, 104 for what it'll feel like. New York, similar story. But look what happens by the time we get into basically the late week in Chicago. We'll get back to those more normal temperatures for this time of year, the mid 80s. That's where you should be for late August. We've still got the 90s for Cincinnati and Nashville, but Buffalo gets nicer. We'll see Philadelphia get back to the upper 70s. So some cooler air is on tap. And that is because of this system. We've got one that's going to move across parts of the Great Lakes here in the Midwest as we get through the day today. I'll show you what that means for later this afternoon, but already quite active across parts of the Midwest. We've got some thunderstorm warnings that are in effect for parts of Minnesota. You can see that line of thunderstorms working through. Plenty of lightning. There's lots of lightning with this line of thunderstorms across Michigan, and we've got some of that across other parts of the Midwest. And this is the kind of setup we'll see through the day today. Here's that cold front that I mentioned. That's going to work its way to the east here as we get through the day today. And the rain will be one thing that we're worried about. So the flash flooding, yes, is going to be an issue, but we also have the chance to see some of those strong storms developing yet again. So here's where you see the slight risk where that brighter yellow is. It does include major cities of Green Bay, Milwaukee, Chicago, Cleveland, and Detroit. So those are the spots that we're going to be watching for the more active thunderstorms later today. The impact's going to be likely the wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. That's what we're most concerned about. But we could potentially see some hail, maybe a tornado or two as the day goes on. So heads up about that. Now, as we get into tomorrow, the relief settles in on the backside of this cold front with that cooler air working in across the Great Lakes in the Midwest. But unfortunately for folks across the Northeast, that's when the showers and thunderstorms arrive, and we will once again be looking at a chance for some strong storms. Now, it's going to be the same impacts. So wind gusts and hail are going to be the main things that we'll watch for. The good news is that we will see that kind of tornado risk remain fairly low as we get into the day tomorrow, though. But eventually, that cooler air will start to work in behind the system, guys, and that, I think, is relief that everybody's looking for.
All right, Angie, thank you very much.
This morning, evacuations are underway in one coastal Alaskan town after a massive landslide buried parts of the community over the weekend. At least one person has died, and officials warn another landslide could be imminent. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky has the latest.
Frightening new glimpses of an Alaskan town partially buried after a hillside collapsed. The devastating landslide crunching entire homes.
We were just at that house for a garage sale last weekend. This is terrible.
Sunday's tragedy unleashing a deadly wave of snapped trees, toppled power poles, pushing a mountain of debris into a hillside neighborhood. The slide sideswiping the town of Ketchikan, a seaside destination on Alaska's famed Inside Passage and a frequent stop for cruise lines. Officials confirming one person was killed while driving when the slide swallowed their vehicle.
I was stunned because in my 65 years here, I've never seen anything of that scale.
Mayor Dave Kiffer calls the loss of life heartbreaking, but stresses the current damage zone could spread even further.
There's about a quarter of the town currently at risk for yet another slide.
Yes.
How frightening is that?
It's very frightening. To be honest, I don't think of, any people in Ketchikan walk about their daily lives thinking, hey, that mountain's going to come down. And now we have to.
As for any cause, officials say the landslide struck following an unusually dry August.
Look at that.
When a weekend storm left conditions soaked.
It's definitely heartbreaking to see. It affects your mind tremendously. It's traumatizing, for sure.
Leah Canfield, one of several whose homes were damaged, all too aware this may not be over.
Our thanks to Morgan Chesky for that report.
Well, the SpaceX launch scheduled for this morning has been pushed back at least a day, which will delay the first ever civilian spacewalk after the discovery of a helium leak. The crew of 4 private citizens was originally set to lift off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida on a mission dubbed Polaris Dawn. Now, the spaceflight is rescheduled for later this week, Wednesday morning at the earliest. It will travel nearly 870 miles above Earth's atmosphere. That's 3 times farther than the International Space Station. Its mission is to determine the effects of space radiation on astronauts and on the capsule. This flight will be the farthest humans have gone into space in more than 50 years. We'll keep you posted on that. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, a tech titan behind bars in France. The charges filed against the founder of Telegram over alleged criminal activity on the popular messaging app.
Up first after the break, ready to retaliate, Ukraine's president vowing to fight back after a second straight night of Russian airstrikes. We're going to bring you the latest next.
Welcome back. Overnight, Russian forces continued to hit targets within Ukraine, including a hotel where at least 2 people were killed. It's the second wave in a barrage of missile attacks across the country. President Zelensky is now vowing to respond to these attacks. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin has the latest from Ukraine.
Good morning, guys. This is the road to the Russian region of Kursk. The Russian border is a straight shot that way, where Ukraine continues its invasion, taking more and more Russian territory with each passing day. Overnight, there were Russian airstrikes on a number of Ukrainian cities, including the city of Sumy, where I am now. You can see this building was completely taken out by a prior strike. Proof that when it comes to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, no city spared. Overnight, more Russian airstrikes on Ukraine. This time, a Russian missile hit a hotel in the city of Kryvyi Rih, killing at least 2, according to Ukrainian officials. On Monday, the embattled country's air defense in overdrive, intercepting, it says, 102 of 127 missiles fired by the Russians, according to the Ukrainian Air Force.
It resulted in the deaths of Ukrainian civilians and targeted more than 24 critical energy sites.
including this critical dam in the Kyiv region. If breached, officials estimate at least 10% of the Ukrainian capital could be underwater. While only lightly damaged in Monday's attack, the strike is part of Russia's latest attempt, the Ukrainian president says, to terrify his people. President Biden vowing that Russia will never succeed in Ukraine. All of it coming just days after Ukraine marked 33 years of independence, with a party in the streets of Kharkiv and a somber ceremony of remembrance in the capital. The U.S. Embassy had warned of a potential Russian missile attack tied to the celebrations. Monday's strike sent millions of Ukrainians to shelters, metro stations once again doubling as safe havens. But within hours, life returned to normal, a show of just how much this ongoing war has become a part of everyday life. 2 years ago, we met Colonel Ihor Obolensky shortly after his men pushed the Russians out of the area around Kharkiv. Since then, he fought in the battle for Bakhmut, one of the bloodiest of this war.
You think you're going to win?
We not go away. We stay and protect our country and protect freedom.
They're still assessing the damage from this latest round of Russian airstrikes, but I'm told by officials that it hit the power grid pretty hard. Now we're seeing today rolling blackouts in a number of Ukrainian cities, including here in Sumy. Back to you guys.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much. Stay safe.
Tensions remain high in the Middle East following Sunday's exchange of heavy fire between Hezbollah forces and Israel.
After a temporary pause between the two sides, fighting resumed Monday night with targeted strikes. Lebanon says Israel carried out an attack near the border, while Hezbollah says it zeroed in on military equipment in northern Israel with an exploding drone. The escalation in attacks has the region on edge, fearing the war could spill into neighboring countries.
NBC News correspondent Danielle Hamamji joins us now from Israel with more. Danielle, good morning. So Israeli Defense Forces say that there were several strikes fired from Lebanon into northern Israel last night. Do we know for sure if Hezbollah is responsible, and is Israel preparing for the possibility of more attacks from the militant group?
Well, good morning to you. And yes, Hezbollah did claim responsibility for that attack. And in a way, things are going back to normal here. It's been a strange normal since October 8th. I'm speaking to you from Haifa in northern Israel. We're just 17 miles away from the Lebanese border. Behind me is the largest port in Israel. Above me is where Hezbollah drones have been known to fly. And things are right now relatively quiet. But this is a part of the country that's used to air raid sirens going off because of those daily exchanges of fire that you've just mentioned. But in the words of the top U.S. general who has just wrapped up a trip to the Middle East, in an interview with Reuters news agency, he said that the risk of regional war has now somewhat eased. Israel, of course, had been bracing for attacks by both Hezbollah and Iran following the back-to-back assassinations by senior members of Hezbollah and Hamas. And so the top U.S. general saying that you knew two things were going to happen. One has already happened, and now it depends how the second one is going to play out. He's making reference, of course, here to the possibility of an attack by Iran. He says how Iran reacts will dictate how Israel reacts, and how Israel reacts will dictate whether or not that there is going to be a broader conflict in the region.
Danielle, let's talk about ceasefire negotiations. We understand Hamas is at this point not participating. Can this move forward despite that? And what are the sticking points?
Well, the short answer is yes. It's certainly according to U.S. officials who keep describing the talks as constructive. But of course, for the people in Gaza, for the family members of the hostages, it's just the same words over and over again with no resolution. The two main sticking points remain the two corridors, the Netzanim corridor and the Philadelphia corridor. Those are two areas in the Gaza Strip where Israel wants to maintain a presence. But for the time being, it's lower level delegates who will be working on other aspects of the deal, namely the identities and the number of hostages who will be released in exchange for a certain number of Palestinian detainees. They're trying to work out the details of who exactly those detainees will be and what will happen to them once they are released. Some of them might not be able to stay in Gaza because that would be Israel's preference, but they are still working on those details. But of course, the big obstacles remain the Netzanim and the Philadelphia corridor, that buffer zone between Egypt and Gaza.
And Danielle, in the middle of all of this, officials are actually trying to launch a polio vaccination campaign in Gaza. The UN says more than 1 million doses have been delivered to the region, but it's, of course, hard to actually get those shots to people. Why the urgency for these vaccines, and is it possible to get them out to people, given how many hospitals have been evacuated or destroyed?
Yeah, why the urgency? Because they've detected the first case of polio for the first time in 25 years in the Gaza Strip, and that patient is a 10-month-old baby who is now paralyzed. So what they would like to do is vaccinate more than 630,000 children, which is why both sides, UN agencies have been urging both sides, Hamas and Israel, for a humanitarian pause so they can begin this vaccination campaign. 2 doses are required for each child, but in the meantime, there are evacuations both of the Al-Aqsa hospital, where very few people are left, only patients who are unable to move. And so now the only working hospital is the Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. And if I may, we might be running out of time, but this is important. This is a message that I received earlier this morning from an aid worker who tells me this: the warehouses are either unreachable or empty. The trucks that get across are being looted. There is no expletive soap. The kids are dying of preventable diseases, and there is nowhere for anyone to go. That is the situation in Gaza at the moment.
Danielle Hamamdin, thank you so much for your reporting. Appreciate it.
Thank you. More international news now. The captain of the super yacht that sank off the coast of Sicily last week is now being investigated for manslaughter.
NBC's Claudio Labanga is in Rome with that and some other world news. Claudio, good morning.
Joseph, good morning. Well, that's right. A multiple manslaughter investigation has been opened against James Cutfield, the captain of the sunken super yacht. Now, his lawyer tells NBC News that he's also under investigation for causing a shipwreck. It's unclear whether any other people will also be put under investigation so far. Well, Cutfield will be questioned by Sicilian prosecutors for the 3rd time again today. And the U.S. Army private who ran into North Korea last year is expected to plead guilty to desertion as part of a plea agreement, according to his lawyer. Travis King will plead guilty to 5 of the 14 offenses he was originally charged with. The rest will be dismissed. He'll be sentenced before a military court at Fort Bliss on September the 20th. And we end this short tour of the world with matching sets of dinosaur footprints. More than 270 footprints have been discovered in Central Africa and South America. That's over 3,700 miles apart. The tracks are over 100 million years old and date back to when Africa and South America were still part of a supercontinent, telling the story on how these massive creatures used to move around back in the day. Back to you guys.
Oh, pretty cool.
CSI Dinosaur. All right.
Claudia, thank you.
Coming up, growing concerns about a dangerous mosquito-borne virus after the discovery of the first human case in 4 years. But doctors want you to know.
And weight of the world, more young people say global issues are impacting their mental health. We'll unpack the problem and possible solutions. Your weekly check-in is next on Morning News Now. We are back now with new information about the rising threat of mosquito-borne illnesses, even as summer begins to draw to a close.
Cases are popping up all over the country, with some officials in New England even turning to curfews to slow the spread. NBC News correspondent Rahima Ellis has more.
Massachusetts communities are taking precautions, with spraying set to get underway this week. Specifically, areas like Plymouth and Worcester, labeled high risk for the spread of mosquito-borne virus, Eastern equine encephalitis, also known as triple E.
I always use bug spray, and, if I'm outside late at night, I try and cover up.
Plymouth Health Commissioner Michelle Brady says it's rare but dangerous.
It is very serious. Even those that survive, neurological disorders and many health complications can happen from triple E.
And so far, one reported case in a person. An 80-year-old man was diagnosed with the first human case of triple E in Massachusetts since 2020. Cases also popping up in Vermont and New Jersey.
Symptoms range anywhere from nausea, very much like flu-like symptoms, but it can be nausea, dizziness, headaches.
The new concern over viruses spread by mosquitoes comes as the West Nile virus hits 31 states nationwide. One of those cases Infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci, recently hospitalized with the virus, now recovering at home. Experts say simple precautions include wearing long pants and long sleeves, using mosquito repellent, and removing any containers with standing water. Back in Plymouth, officials worried after a horse testing positive. Parks closed to all outdoor activities from dusk until dawn, when mosquitoes are most active.
Our thanks to Rahima Ellis for that report. Well, for more on everything you need to know about mosquitoes this summer, we are joined by Dr. Aish Adalia. He is an infectious disease expert and senior scholar at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security at the Bloomberg School of Public Health. Doctor, great to have you on set with us. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get started with just basics about what we should know about mosquitoes. What type of conditions, what time of day are they most active, and should we be thinking at that point we should put on that bug spray or cover ourselves?
So the first thing to know about mosquitoes is that they're the most dangerous animal, and they can spread many different infectious diseases that range from malaria to dengue to chikungunya to Zika to EEEE, which we'll talk about, in West Nile. So they have a whole host of pathogens. And there's different species, and different species bite at different times. Some are day biters, some are biters at dusk and dawn. So it depends upon which mosquito it is to tell you, what type of precautions you need to take and when you need to take them.
Here in America, what are the illnesses we should be most worried about right now? Does it change year to year?
It's always going to be West Nile. West Nile is the most common mosquito-borne infection that's spread in the United States. It's endemic to the 48 states. So this is something that every part of the world or the country has to deal with. Also, there are certain parts of the country where there are other types of viruses, like EEE in New England. There's St. Louis encephalitis. There's a whole host of them depending upon where you actually live.
What should we know about EEE? I think West Nile is one that maybe people have heard of a little bit more, but we just heard in that piece from Rahima that that's also a concern.
So EEE is pretty rare. There's only about a dozen cases that occur every year, usually concentrated in New England and the Gulf states. But what's interesting about this, or what's concerning about it, is that most of the people who get it have severe illness. About 30% of them die. That's why you see these types of precautions and recommendations going on in Plymouth, Massachusetts, because this is a pretty consequential virus. If you get it, there's no treatment. There are vaccines for horses, but not for humans. So this is one that people are really aggressive when it appears in a given area, but it's pretty rare. It's not something that's as common as West Nile, for example.
Mosquito bites are pretty common, but what are the symptoms people should be watching out for to know that there might be something going on? And what are the best things we can do to just prevent this from happening?
So the symptoms are going to overlap with many different illnesses, including COVID, fever, chills, muscle aches and pains, headaches. And then when it gets concerning, it's when you start to see confusion, seizures, people are just not acting the same. All of those things are signs that the infection has gone to the brain, which is the big danger with West Nile, with EEE. And what can you do to prevent it? It's hard because there's no vaccines. It's really about cleaning up your yard, cleaning up your community to make sure that there's not breeding sites for mosquitoes. And when you go to mosquito-laden areas, wearing repellent, wearing protective clothing, and trying to stay out of those places where we know that mosquitoes are present.
We know that in the summer, as Joe just mentioned, this is common. I was just saying in the break, I've got a bunch of mosquito bites from this past weekend. Is the best thing to do if you know you've got those bites, just keep an eye on yourself, and if you start to feel anything up?
Yes, not every bite is going to produce an infection. And it's important to know that you've had mosquito bites, especially if you do develop fevers, chills, headaches, and you talk to your doctor and say, I've got a lot of mosquito bites, I've been in an area where there's a lot of mosquitoes, could I have a mosquito-borne infection?
Dr. Aish Adalia, always great to see you. A really important talker, especially as summer winds down. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks.
Let's get to our weekly mental health check-in, starting with an alarming new report on how global issues like the environment and the economy might impact the future of young people's health.
Plus, 10 minutes of mindfulness a day just might keep the doctor away.
Here to help us break down all that and more is Dr. Erica Richards. She's the chair and medical director of the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Health at Sibley Memorial Hospital. She's also an assistant professor at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. Dr. Richards, good to have you with us. So let's get into that report. I mentioned a group made up of mental health and policy experts found that issues like climate change, like the economy, are affecting young people's mental health. The lead author even warns of what he calls an increasingly sick society. They're calling for some drastic changes. Talk more about why these issues are impacting young people so much. What are the big takeaways here?
The big takeaways from this are that there's global trends. This is not located to one specific area, but there's global trends that are really affecting younger generations. And we've talked about them in the past: unregulated social media, job insecurity, financial inequality. We've talked about, their concerns about climate control. And these are the things that young people are really starting to think about. And the question is, how can we support them? What can be done to really decrease the mental health load that they're experiencing? And there's a couple of things. We want society, we want an investment really for early interventions. We know that the earlier you can intervene, the more support you can give, the better. We want continuity of mental health care. There's pediatric health care, but then there's adult health care, and right around age 18 it switches, but this is a really crucial period where we want people to really have some continuity of care. And the other thing that we try to focus on, especially at Johns Hopkins Medicine, is cultural sensitivity. Do we understand what young people are thinking about? Do we understand what's important to them? And the best way to do that is obviously to talk to them, to include them in some of the planning that's going on to support their needs.
Really, really good ideas there. Also, one on young people, data from one consulting firm says Gen Zers are almost twice as likely to call in sick than baby boomers. Why do you think that is? That there's this maybe comfort with calling in sick? And maybe is there something that we should be learning from this, the rest of us should be thinking about doing a little more often?
So Savannah, I think there's a multifaceted kind of approach to thinking about this. And one of the things we know is that for younger generations, right, they came up during COVID. They started working during COVID. They started, excelling during COVID. And then it was expected and absolutely acceptable to call out sick. We want you to think about your neighbor. We want you to think about not getting other people sick. And I think there's some carryover with that. But simultaneously during that time, there was also a push towards mental health. And this is really important because there's a UK study that's actually shown that mental health related absences have increased by about 300% between 2017 and 2023. So people are really starting to focus on their mental health. Now, I think the younger generations are also not feeling this pressure to be the ideal worker. Do I have to work when I'm sick? Do I have to check my emails on vacation? And so there's a shift change towards having more boundaries to really define my social life, my well-being, and what I'm responsible for and what I'll do in the work setting.
We also want to talk about researchers saying 10 minutes of mindfulness could help reduce depression. 10 minutes sounds easy, but sometimes we struggle to weave that into our days. How can we best do that?
Exactly like we're telling people to, take some time to exercise. This mindfulness is really important. And the reason is because if we can just do 10 minutes. And the study that actually is most recently referenced is looking at people that were naive. They had not had exposure to mindfulness. And this is important because some people will say, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do that. But you can start using an app. There are free apps that can be downloaded. And what we know is that for just those 10 minutes of mindfulness daily, we can decrease depression, improve sleep. And so people are noticing that there's a significant push towards wellness and how to pursue that.
We're seeing more schools actually teach this so kids learn it young and get it into their lives early on. Dr. Erica Richards, good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, criminal charges filed against the founder of Telegram. What officials in France are saying about the tech titan's role in alleged activity on the popular app.
And remembering Psycho Sid, the wrestling world mourning the death of WWE legend Sid Vicious this morning. We're going to look back at his time in the ring next on Morning News Now.
Welcome back. The founder of the popular encrypted messaging app Telegram has been detained in France. French authorities say they arrested Pavel Durov as part of a larger investigation into criminal activity on the app and a lack of cooperation with authorities. NBC News international correspondent Megan Fitzgerald has more.
Telegram CEO Pavel Durov in custody for alleged offenses related to his widely popular private messaging and social media app. The 39-year-old billionaire, dubbed Russia's Mark Zuckerberg, arrested shortly after landing in France. The Paris prosecutor's office says the arrest is part of a larger investigation related to complicity in illegal transactions and possessing and distributing child pornography. Telegram, which the company says is used by more than 900 million people, is popular for its group chat feature and for the ability to follow and comment on individual channels or accounts. But the app's focus on free speech has also made it an appealing online home for fringe groups. It's where the FBI says the far-right group, the Proud Boys, organized themselves in the lead-up to the January 6th attack on the Capitol, and where the Islamic State has coordinated and spread propaganda. Specific charges against Durov are still unclear, but the arrest has sparked outrage from prominent figures, including Elon Musk, who wrote #FreePavel on X, his platform where he's adopted a similar free speech approach. U.S. tech companies like Google generally comply with lawful court orders from other nations requesting user data of people suspected of crimes, something Durov, a dual French and UAE citizen who runs Telegram out of Dubai, usually ignores.
For me, my number one priority in life is my freedom.
Even admitting in a rare interview with right-wing media personality Tucker Carlson.
It's not that we don't care, but we think it's important to have this platform that is neutral to all voices.
In Russia, where the messaging app is extremely popular, some locals like this man saying they believe Durov was arrested for his support of free speech. French President Emmanuel Macron quickly responding to the backlash, saying the arrest was not politically motivated, adding in part, quote, France is more than anything attached to freedom of expression and communication, innovation and entrepreneurship. It will remain so. In a statement, Telegram saying Durov has nothing to hide and that it is absurd to claim that a platform or its owner are responsible for abuse of that platform.
Our thanks to Megan Fitzgerald for that report.
Some financial headlines now. Apple has confirmed the date for its next big event with one major reveal expected.
CNBC's Savannah Hanau joins us with that and other money news. Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning to you. That is right. Apple sending out invitations to an event on September 9th, where it's expected to unveil the iPhone 16, which will come with new AI-powered features. Now, the invite says it's glow time, but it doesn't offer any other details. iPhone sales have been sluggish, falling about 1% in the most recent quarter. Apple believes the new AI tools, which it announced in June, will get people to upgrade their phones. Apple also announcing CFO Luca Maestri will step down from his role next year. He will stay on at the iPhone maker to head the corporate services team. Since taking over as CFO in 2014, he's developed a reputation for holding spending down while rivals splurged. And the number of crypto millionaires has nearly doubled in the past year as the value of the digital currency climbs, and several ETFs tracking Bitcoin have launched. A new report out today from New World Wealth and Henley & Partners shows there are now more than 172,000 individuals holding at least $1 million in crypto assets. The ranks have grown all the way up to the so-called wealth ladder. There are now 325 crypto centimillionaires who have more than 100 million in assets and nearly 30 billionaires, guys.
I thought we were done with Bitcoin, but I guess not. No. All right, Silvana, thank you so much.
You got it.
Some sad news from the world of professional wrestling. Former multi-time world champion Sid Eudy has died. Eudy, also known as Psycho Sid, Sid Vicious, and Sid Justice, became a top star during the 1990s when pro wrestling had a huge resurgence among mainstream audiences. His imposing 6'9" frame made him a standout performer, landed him in major matches against legends like Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart. In a post on Facebook, Eudy's son said that his father died, quote, after battling cancer for several years. He was 63. Coming up, history on the field.
Next up, a first for Major League Baseball. One player playing for both teams in the same game. How timing and Mother Nature played a part in making it happen. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now.
We're back now with history once again being made in Major League Baseball. Some pretty bizarre history at that. Yesterday, catcher Danny Jansen became the first player ever to play for both teams in a single MLB game. How is that possible, you ask? Well, back in June, Jansen was playing for the Toronto Blue Jays against the Boston Red Sox. A rainstorm forced the teams to hit the pause button on that game and finish it at a later date. So here's where it gets interesting. Jansen was then traded to the Red Sox in July. Fast forward to Monday when that game picked up right where it left off at Fenway Park, with Jansen now facing his old team. Here's the really cool part. Jansen was actually batting when the original game was called off. So not only did he suit up for two teams in the same game, he was technically the catcher for his own at-bats. Jansen said, quote, "It's interesting and it's strange He's grateful to be part of history. The Jays went on to win that game 7-3, so he lost, but then he won, maybe. He can claim whatever he wants.
So I think that a whole thing just went right over my head, but
flowchart.
very cool. Yeah. All right, thanks, Joe. We've also got more baseball history for you. One mysterious fan has hit a souvenir home run by securing one of the most iconic jerseys ever worn, Babe Ruth's from his legendary called shot. It was sold at an auction for a record-breaking sum, and it finds a new home in baseball folklore. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky has that story.
Babe Ruth up there waiting. There's the pitch, and he smacks it out in the right field.
It's one of baseball's greatest moments. Not just historic, but legendary.
I wanted to get into 10 World Series, and looks like it has arrived.
Yankees slugger Babe Ruth calling his shot before smashing a home run during the 1932 World Series against the Chicago Cubs.
Well, I looked down at center field, and I saw it. I said, I'm going to hit the next pitch ball right past the flagpole.
The gesture's meaning long debated and imitated, from the natural
Wanda Nunez
to the sandlot. But was the great Bambino pointing to center field, to the Cubs bench, or to the stands? Teammate Lou Gehrig told NBC Radio, there's no debate. It happened, just like you've heard.
He stands up there and tells the world that he's going to sock that next one. And not only that, but he tells the world right where he's going to sock it, into the center field stand. A few seconds later, the ball was just where he pointed, in the center field stand. He called his shot and then made it.
Now the jersey worn in that historic moment, just sold at auction.
1932 was Ruth's last World Series. The called shot was his last career World Series home run. So when you can tie an item like that to an important figure in their most important moment, that's what collectors are really looking for.
The price tag for this priceless artifact? $24 million.
It's the most valuable sports item ever come to auction, and everyone in our industry is very excited to see where it could go.
And before it sold, the historic uniform even went on tour.
Went to Wrigley Field for the first time since 1932.
Giving fans a rare glimpse at the very cloth draped over the Colossus of Clout, now part of a baseball myth.
For somebody that likes baseball as much as I do, this is really a marvelous treat to see his jersey.
Heritage Auction says the buyer wishes to remain anonymous, so the legend and the mystery of that moment lives on.
Our thanks to Morgan Chesky for that report.
Let's end this hour with a story of honor. The family of a World War II veteran now has his Purple Heart back, thanks to one bargain shopper. Adam Harding from our New York affiliate WNBC has that story.
They called him Georgie. I called him Uncle George.
As a young man, New Jersey native George Cerrito wanted nothing more than to serve his country.
When World War II broke out, all of his brothers and all of his first cousins, and there were a bunch of them, were all drafted. He was too old. He really wanted to serve. So he enlisted.
He'd only been in Europe for a few weeks in 1945 when his unit came under attack. His niece Margarita says it would change the rest of his life.
He was the turret gunner in a tank, and the tank was hit, and he was hit in the head and suffered severe brain damage. He had to learn how to do everything all over again. He could not walk. He could not talk.
George received a Purple Heart for his brave service.
Well, he was very proud of it. That I can tell you for sure.
And went on to live a happy, full life until he died in 1993. He had no wife, no kids, and when the family home was eventually sold, his war medals were nowhere to be found. But then a few weeks ago, the family was contacted by a nonprofit based in Vermont.
We've returned over 1,000 of these Purple Hearts.
Zachariah Fike is the founder of Purple Hearts Reunited. He says an Air Force veteran found his medals at a swap meet in Texas, of all places.
She rescued them. She paid over $100 for them.
They were soon returned to Margarita.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Decades after they were last seen.
Here's his Purple Heart, and here's his Good Conduct Medal.
The family doesn't know how the medals ended up so far away.
It was definitely in an auction, because here's an auction card.
What they do know is how great it is to have them back.
Sheer joy. Amazement at the fact that this stuff exists, It's in my hands.
Margarita naturally can't stop showing it off to friends.
No.
A piece of her family's history, finally back home.
We have to put it someplace where everybody can see it and appreciate what he did for us, what he gave up for us.
And our thanks to Adam Harding for that report. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, Mother Nature isn't quite done with summer just yet. Millions across the Midwest and parts of the Northeast waking up under scorching heat alerts. And in Chicago, it's expected to feel like, get this, 115 degrees over the next few hours. We've got more on where we could see some record-breaking temperatures today. We're also getting a devastating new look at this weekend's deadly landslide in Alaska. Also this morning, the debate over the debate. Former President Trump now casting doubt over whether he'll go one-on-one with Vice President Kamala Harris with just 10 weeks to go until Election Day. Mr. Trump voicing concerns over next month's event set to be moderated by ABC, suggesting he wouldn't be treated fairly. Plus, should the mics be muted? I'm going to bring you the very latest from the campaign trail. Breaking moments ago, the major drug maker looking to take one popular weight loss drug straight to the patient without insurance. But there is a catch. Later in the hour, more on Eli Lilly's push to make Zepbound more widely available in the U.S., though it could look a little different. And you could call it a green light to take a closer look at how trees can benefit our health. We're going to take you to one southern city where officials hope one promising outdoor experiment will branch out across the country and the world. Some inspiring climate news to bring you there. Let's begin this hour with the sweltering heat that is scorching Americans all across the country.
Yeah, this morning, millions in the Midwest and Northeast are waking up under heat alerts as states in these regions are hit with soaring late summer temperatures. Experts say the high temps could break records in some areas today. All this comes as we're learning more details about a deadly landslide in Alaska. Evacuations are underway this morning for one town that's partly buried. NBC News correspondent Maggie Besta joins us from Chicago with more on the extreme weather. Maggie, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. I don't know if you can see that breeze feels so good right now. Good morning, I should say, by the way, from the place where a lot of people told our team yesterday they were skipping work and skipping school to come and seek refuge from the heat. And we expect massive crowds again along Lake Michigan, as Joe said, because the heat index today is expected to hit 115 degrees here in Chicago. All this amid a summer that won't seem to let up. This morning, a dangerous late summer scorcher slamming the Midwest, with millions set to experience some of the hottest temperatures of the year.
Hey, this is probably the hottest summer we've had in a while.
In Chicago, where the heat index is expected to hit a jaw-dropping 115 degrees, crowds are flocking to Lake Michigan.
The sand will burn your feet.
Chicago Public Schools stressing all classrooms have air conditioning.
We're making sure that all of our children are safe.
Mother Nature's severe weather footprint stretching far and wide, with flooding at the Minnesota State Fair and heavy rain, even hail in New England. Meanwhile, in Alaska,
we need to get out of here.
Chilling new drone video providing a bird's eye view of the devastation caused by Sunday's slide. Mandatory evacuation orders remain in place as authorities in the seaside town of Ketchikan fear after so much weekend rain, a second slide may be looming. Officials IDing Sean Griffin, a husband, father, and public works employee, as the man who died trying to clear stormwater drains during the downpour, writing it was his commitment to the community that caused him to respond to the call for assistance during his scheduled time off. Among the homes destroyed, Tommy and Stephen Varela Kosaks, that white one, lost when a neighbor's home crashed into it.
Our neighbor's house had fallen on top of our house and kind of pushed the whole thing off the foundations.
The couple finding their cat, Dipper, and dog, Benny, trapped inside, scared but unharmed.
I feel like really fortunate that things that I needed out of my home, my husband and my animals were able to get out, and I have them.
Yeah, we're glad they're okay, too. Back here in the Midwest, by the way, a lot of cities in this region are experiencing, amid our worsening climate crisis, a top 3 hottest year on record. Meanwhile, a lot of communities out on the East Coast and West Coast, guys, are seeing their hottest years ever. I'll send it back to you.
Maggie, thank you so much.
For more on the heat wave in the Midwest and the severe storms hitting New England, meteorologist Angie Aspen is here.
Yeah, she's here with the very latest. Angie, good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. We got a lot going on across the Northeast and the Midwest over the next couple of days. That heat that Maggie was just talking about and the potential for some of these stronger storms to develop. And it's already been kind of an active morning across this region. Notice parts of Wisconsin and Minnesota dealing with some of those stronger thunderstorms that are moving through. Right now, a thunderstorm warning is in effect for that line of thunderstorms as it works to the north and east. But we've had some rain across this region throughout the morning hours, and there's more where that came from. We've got a cold front. We've got plenty of instability. We've got the heat. So all the ingredients are there for us to see some of these thunderstorms firing up as the day goes on, and the potential for them to become quite strong is there. We're also going to see some heavy rain associated with this, so watch for the flash flooding today across this region too. But when it comes to the stronger storms, it includes a good chunk of this region. So all of Michigan, parts of Indiana, Ohio, as well as Illinois, and a good amount of parts of Wisconsin as well. We've got major cities of Green Bay, Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit, and Cleveland all included in that chance for some of the stronger storms. It looks like the main threat that we're looking at is going to be the wind gusts. Maybe a little hail is possible, and tornadoes, we can't rule them out. 1 or 2 is more likely, but we're not looking at a great chance of a tornado threat through the day today. So that's at least some positive news. Now, by tomorrow, when we talk about the temperatures across this region, we're going to see a little bit of a bump down because that front is going to work through. But unfortunately, for parts of the Northeast, that means that the showers and thunderstorms arrive at your doorstep. So we'll see an unsettled day across that region. And you guessed it, another chance for us to see some of these stronger storms. It does include Pittsburgh stretching out to the coast. So Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York, all included in that. The tornado risk is low tomorrow, but we will have that chance for some strong wind gusts, maybe some damaging hail as well. Now, beyond that, we're going to see some quieter conditions settle in. We've got plenty of heat alerts that are up across this region. You heard Maggie talking about those really impressive temperatures we're going to get. The high today in Chicago, 98 degrees, feeling like 110. We've got a feels like of 109 in St. Louis. Cincinnati ends up into the triple digits for your feels like temperatures too. And the low 90s on tap for Washington, D.C. Now, the front will work through, and we'll get a little bit of kind of a brief break from some of that really oppressive heat across portions of Wisconsin, Minnesota. We'll still end up into the 90s, though, for places like St. Louis and Fort Wayne, as well as Pittsburgh. But notice with Washington, D.C., it'll feel like 104 tomorrow. So we'll see that heat arrive in New York City, too, guys. Really uncomfortable conditions there with a high of 100, or with a heat index value of 101, a high of 95. So it's going to be quite uncomfortable, but that all comes to an end, and we kind of round out the work week with some more typical temperatures as we roll into the weekend. 78 on Friday in Philadelphia, not bad.
It'll feel like winter.
Yeah, and we've been on a roller coaster ride. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, Chicago was incredible.
Great.
Yeah, now a little taste of summer.
101 tomorrow feels like. That's wild. Angie, thank you so much. Of course. Well, with just 10 days to go until 10 weeks, to go until Election Day, the big debate this morning is over the debates themselves. Former President Trump is now casting doubt over whether he'll attend the scheduled September 10th face-off with Vice President Kamala Harris over concerns about proposed rule changes. NBC's Garrett Haight covers the Trump campaign for us and joins us from Washington. Garrett, did I give you a heart attack with that 10 days to go? Good morning.
Don't tease me like that, Savannah. No, good morning to you, too. Look, with the Democratic ticket off the trail on Monday, it was all about Donald Trump on the road looking to blunt any momentum for the vice president coming out of her convention. The former president was on the attack against Harris on the stump, but he was also on the defensive about some proposed changes to their big debate showdown next month. This morning, the Trump and Harris campaigns are sparring over next month's debate. With a 70-day sprint to Election Day, both candidates looking ahead to their first meeting, with Harris holding at least one mock debate, sources say, while Trump turned to social media to complain about the debate host network, and on Monday blasting a proposed rule change that would leave both candidates' microphones on throughout. That's compared to the Trump-Biden debate in June, when microphones were muted unless it was their turn to speak. Will the former president still attend?
We're thinking about it. They also want to change the rules. You know, the deal was we keep the same rules. Now all of a sudden they want to make a change in the rules because because she can't answer questions.
Trump later seeming to say the Harris proposed change wouldn't be a deal breaker.
Doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably un.
Trump campaigning in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania this week. Harris and her running mate Tim Walz holding a bus tour of Georgia that begins tomorrow.
Thank you.
Trump, looking to get back on offense, will target Harris on key issues this week, including immigration. With breaking news on that front overnight, a federal judge temporarily blocking a Biden administration program that allowed undocumented spouses of American citizens to stay in the U.S. while applying for green cards. The program, one of many immigration flashpoints, had been challenged by Republicans in 16 states. The Trump campaign sees immigration as a vulnerability for Harris, along with national security.
Under Kamala Harris, American veterans are treated worse by far than illegal aliens. Illegal aliens are treated. You ever see them? They stay in hotels. We have veterans sleeping on the street.
The former president using the 3-year anniversary of the bombing of Abbey Gate in Afghanistan, which killed 13 service members, to highlight the Biden administration's chaotic withdrawal from the nation's longest war.
Our country will never be safe again until we have fired those responsible for this disaster. Nobody fired. Worst, most embarrassing, in my opinion, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country.
Now, both President Biden and Vice President Harris marked that anniversary with statements. The Vice President writing of the fallen, "My prayers are with the families and their loved ones. My heart breaks for their pain and their loss." Savannah?
Garrett, quickly before I let you go back to the debate, what is Vice President Harris's strategy in wanting to keep those mics on?
Well, it's twofold. Harris wants to be able to do something that Joe Biden wasn't able to do in the first debate, and that's to fact-check Donald Trump in real time. Keeping her mic open means she doesn't get steamrolled. But her campaign also wants Trump's mic open, in part because they want the American people to see what they've called the unfettered Donald Trump, which they argue is what people would get if he gets reelected. Basically, they don't think Trump can control himself for 90 minutes, and they want millions of viewers to see that. Now, I've been asking the Trump campaign for any comment on this since the former president's comments yesterday, and still no response. Savannah?
All right, Garrett, hey, good to see you. Thank you very much.
You bet.
In the Middle East, Israel and Hezbollah forces have resumed fighting just days after one of their most intense exchanges of fire in decades. It comes as officials race to solidify a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The U.S. is repeating its call for an end to the war and the return of the hostages. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest. Matt, good morning.
Good morning, guys. So the situation over Israel's northern border with Lebanon is calmer than it was 2 days ago, but strikes are continuing, and this is really a region and a country that's girding for war. A region on edge as tensions between Israel and Hezbollah continue. After Israel's worst exchange of fire with Hezbollah for nearly 2 decades, on Monday, more fighting. Israeli strikes on the Lebanese border, and Hezbollah later announcing it had targeted military equipment in northern Israel with a drone. It comes after Hezbollah fired missiles and drones at Israel over the weekend, following what the Israelis said was a preemptive strike against the group in Lebanon.
What I believe now is that it is incumbent on all parties in the region to work towards de-escalation and stability.
Still, the U.S. remains wary. Last month, Israel assassinated a senior Hezbollah commander near Beirut and a Hamas leader in Iran's capital. Iran's threats against Israel continue, vowing vengeance. Revenge for this criminal act is certain, said the head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard. The attacks over the weekend still left northern Israeli towns like Akku with piles of debris and lingering fears. 9-year-old Tamar Sada was asleep when air raid sirens went off. How do you feel now? Do you still feel scared? A little, but my sister was with me in the room and took it a bit harder, she told me. But I didn't cry. I was a little scared, but I didn't cry. She and her family rushed to their tiny safe room, where they narrowly avoided falling rocket debris that smashed through their family room ceiling. They're cleaning up the damage, but the danger remains. Meanwhile, the White House is expecting those hostage negotiation talks in Cairo to continue for at least the next few days. And even though success is looking unlikely, American and Israeli diplomats are hoping that the talks will delay any potential reprisal attacks by Iran. Guys?
All right, Matt Bradley. Matt, thank you so much. SpaceX has postponed the launch for the crew of its first ever civilian spacewalk for at least one more day because of a helium leak. The mission, named Polaris Dawn, now slated to be carried out later this week. Its crew of 4 private citizens could lift off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center as early as Wednesday morning.
The crew will travel nearly 870 miles above Earth's atmosphere, which is 3 times farther than the International Space Station. Their mission is to test the effects of space radiation on astronauts and on space vehicles. This flight will be the farthest humans have traveled into space in more than 50 years.
Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the murky legal landscape of using some popular songs at campaign rallies and the new spat that Team Trump is involved in with one of rock music's biggest acts.
First, though, after the break, searching for answers. The captain of that doomed super yacht off the coast of Sicily now being questioned by Italian authorities. But could he actually be charged in the tragedy? We're going to take a look next. Welcome back. Italian officials are still trying to determine why that super yacht sank off the coast of Italy last week. Well, now a multiple manslaughter investigation has been opened against the boat's captain. NBC News international correspondent Megan Fitzgerald is following this investigation for us. Megan, good morning.
Good morning. Look, maritime experts are saying this type of luxury yacht should not have sank. It just shouldn't have happened. The Bayesian was a type of ship that was masterfully made, and experts say was capable of withstanding inclement weather. The mystery here, and what Italian prosecutors are zeroing in on, is what they believe is a human error that ultimately contributed to the death of 7 people on board. This morning, the search for answers. The captain of the Bayesian super yacht facing a 3rd day of questioning by Italian authorities after the boat sank off the coast of Sicily, killing 7 of the 22 people on board. The 51-year-old captain, James Cutfield of New Zealand, is under formal investigation by Italian authorities. He said of the wreck, quote, "We didn't see it coming." The prosecutor in the case saying it's likely culpable shipwreck and manslaughter were committed. But now the question is, who committed the offenses? After a multi-day search recovered the body of British tech entrepreneur, his 18-year-old daughter, along with 5 others, Italian authorities are closely examining video showing the moments the ship sank last week after being struck by a waterspout, as they look into how such an expensive super yacht succumbed to the waves in a sudden storm while other boats nearby remained floating. The CEO of the firm that owns the yacht's manufacturer defending the ship's design, saying it was designed to be unsinkable, claiming that it should have stayed afloat not only because of its design, but because it is a sailing yacht, which he says is safer than a motorized boat.
They are built extremely strongly and to the highest international maritime standards. So getting to the bottom of what really went on is going to be critical.
Maritime experts say a key focus is if all windows and doors were properly closed, making the ship watertight, and a focus on making sure the keel was properly deployed, which is a heavy weight that suspends below the vessel, another likely focus for investigators.
You have to ascertain whether the captain gave any orders to have the doorways and the hatches closed, or whether he gave any orders to have the keel deployed or fully retracted. That's where the investigation is going to look at the decision making and the communication.
Cutfield's lawyer tells NBC News that his client will be questioned by prosecutors this afternoon at the hotel where the crew and survivors have been staying. Now, keep in mind, the boat that's at the bottom of the sea still needs to be pulled up. That's also part of this investigation. Ultimately, prosecutors will look at all the evidence here to try and determine if charges will be filed. Savannah?
All right, Megan, thank you very much.
More international headlines now. A devastating scene in eastern Sudan after surging waters burst through a dam, wiping out several villages.
NBC's Claudio Luongo joins us with that and more. Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. Well, that's right. The United Nations Emergency Relief Agency says that it
At least 30 people have died and hundreds more are still missing after a dam collapsed in Sudan. Now, after the Arbaat Dam in the northwest of Sudan collapsed, the consequent flooding destroyed 20 villages, damaged another 50, and affected an estimated 50,000 people. One resident living near the dam told Agence France-Presse that after the dam broke, the water swept away people and houses. The United Nations say that the incident is expected to worsen the already dire humanitarian situation in the area, with aid agencies warning that Sudan is on the brink of collapse and starvation following more than a year of civil war. Let's go now to Brasilia, where the city has been enveloped in smoky air from fires in the Amazon forest. The air quality was so bad in the capital of Brazil that public events were cancelled and a nearby airport was closed for a few hours. Brasilia is one of 48 cities, especially in the state of Sao Paulo, which declared a red alert for the smog. In August alone, there were about 3,500 fire alerts in the state of Sao Paulo, the highest number since data collection began in 1998. Brazil's President Inácio Lula da Silva visited the fire monitoring center on Sunday and said the fires in the Amazon are set by people in what looks like a coordinated attack. And let's end this tour of the world in Britain, where a woman became the oldest skydiver in the country after she jumped out of a plane at the age of 102. Her name is Manette Bailey, and she decided to take to the jump to celebrate her birthday. After the jump, she told the BBC it was a bit scary and shut her eyes firmly, but also that she really wants to do it again. Manette is not new to celebrate her birthday with daring challenges. When she turned 100, she drove a Ferrari at a Formula One racetrack at 90 miles per hour. Now I can't wait to see how she decides to celebrate when she turns 103 next year.
That is just very cool.
She is just like awesome.
Yeah, I love it. That's so much.
That's the energy we all need. All right.
Thanks, Claudio. Coming up, some major health news this morning for patients looking to access those popular weight loss treatments.
After the break, one pharmaceutical giant's new push to bring one drug straight to the consumer without insurance. But there is a catch. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We are back with a major announcement this morning related to the popular weight loss drug Zepbound. Some individual doses of the drug will now be available for Americans to purchase directly through Eli Lilly's website at a lower price.
The pharmaceutical giant says this is part of an effort to make Zepbound more accessible to people who need it, like those with obesity. But there are a couple stipulations people need to know before buying it. CNBC reporter Angelica Peebles joins us now with more on this. Good to have you with us. So break it down for us. Who's going to be able to buy the drug now? Where can they get it? And how is this going to be different from previous versions that were on the market?
So this offer is for people who are not able to get Zepbound covered by their insurance. So they're really going after people on Medicare, for example. Remember, Medicare is not allowed to cover obesity drugs. And they can get 2 different strengths of Zepbound for about $500 a month, depending on which dosage they get. And this Zepbound will come in vials, whereas right now, you typically get a pen that you just click it with a button, and it's pretty simple. With this, you're going to need to actually use a syringe and a needle and inject yourself with that. So it's a little bit different, and you also will need to go and get it directly from Eli Lilly, like you mentioned. And so it's this really different offering, and it seems to me like they're going after people who want to take this drug but don't want to pay $1,000 out of pocket and might be willing to go for a compounded version. Remember, those are cheaper as well. But this is Lilly saying, we'll give you the drug for cheaper if you have no other way to access it, and it's directly from us versus something else.
So advocates for obesity patients, people who really need this drug and maybe haven't been able to get their hands on it, they're praising this decision from Lilly, saying it's vital. What else are we hearing?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, there was a statement that Lilly put out this morning, and in it they have a quote here from an obesity group, and they're saying that expanding coverage and affordability of treatments is vital to people living with obesity. And so it'll be really interesting to hear from other people about how this actually rolls out, if people are able to get the drug and what it means, whether people will maybe stop getting some of those compounded versions and instead get the actual FDA-approved drug.
We know these drugs are popular. Zepbound just recently moved off the national shortage list. So is Eli Lilly concerned at all that expanding this access could put the medication back into a shortage?
Yeah, Lilly is saying that adding these vials will significantly increase the overall supply of Zepbound in the U.S. market. And I asked them that exact question, are you worried that you'll be able to meet this demand? And they're saying that they wouldn't be rolling out these vials and this program if they weren't confident that they'd be able to meet that demand. But of course, we'll have to see.
All right, Angelica, thanks so much for reporting here.
It is day 2 of a legal battle between grocery giants Kroger and Albertsons and the U.S. government. Now, Kroger first announced plans to acquire Albertsons back in 2022 in a nearly $25 billion deal. It would be the biggest supermarket merger in U.S. history.
Well, store leaders say this merger will help them keep up with competition from big box retailers like Walmart, like Costco. But the government says it could cause prices to go up and thousands of jobs could be lost.
NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans is here to break it all down. So the government, FTC, went to court in February saying, nope, we need to stop this. So explain to us what's happening in court, why the government wants to put a stop to this.
So the government is saying there have been fewer and fewer players in the grocery space over the years. And when you have fewer players, less competition, that raises prices for consumers. So these are 2 very big companies already. This would be the biggest grocery store merger in history. When you look at some of the names they own, you might not have an Albertsons, you might not have a Kroger, but you probably have one of the companies that they own. They own Safeway, they own King's, Shaw's, this is just Albertsons here, Randall's, Cars, Vons, Acme, Balducci's, right? And then Kroger has its own big stable of brands that you've heard of as well. So these are 2 companies that together would be gigantic, and the government says the bigger is not better for consumers.
So what do we think this could mean for grocery prices? Like, government out of it, we know that this has been going up so much. Everybody's feeling the pinch when they go to the grocery store. But you hear things like, well, this is supposed to make us competitive with Walmart, where we know things are cheap. So what's true?
So it's 2 completely different worldviews here. You have the companies saying they need to be bigger so that they can compete with Walmart, which, by the way, Walmart is the biggest grocery store in the country. Walmart is the biggest everything in the country. But they say they've got to get bigger so that they can compete and they can have the scale. The government is saying, no, that's actually not how it works. And government argues that in the past they've seen these mergers not be good for American consumers, actually take players out of the picture. You know, food prices up 20% since 2020. All of this is against the background of the Biden administration's promise to be tougher on big conglomerates, right? And to work better on behalf of more muscular antitrust policy, basically.
Albertsons and Kroger's, they're in the top 4 U.S. food sellers. That accounts for nearly half the nation's grocery sales. Collectively, they employ about 700,000 people. Wow. I know we don't know for sure, but how could a merger impact them?
So they say they wouldn't lay people off and they wouldn't close stores. The government points back to a merger in 2015 where one of those big giants bought Safeway and promised, you know, to protect workers and spun off some stores. Like, these are the stores that would be spun off in this deal. And they spun off the stores to a company that went bankrupt. Then they bought the stores back and closed a bunch of them. So in the end, you know, what they promised wouldn't happen.
That wasn't the goal.
Yeah, what they promised wouldn't happen happened. And so that's why the government's saying, no, your promises aren't good enough.
When will we know next steps here?
So this could take a couple of weeks for this procedural hearing that's happening right now in Oregon, and then there's a separate kind of trial track going on. So it could be something that gets delayed into a next administration.
These mega mergers never seem to move quickly.
No, they don't, right.
Christine Romans, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, students across the U.S. are either back in school or getting ready to start, which means a lot of them are going to be taking music classes. One company is looking to use AI to help make it more accessible, but not all musicians are singing its praises. NBC News correspondent Maya Eaglin gives us a look at the AI music platform, Boomy.
Hey there, there's some mixed feelings about artificial intelligence entering the music education and music production space. Of course, this technology has been growing in the past few years, and some of the artists I spoke to were really excited that more people will be able to learn how to make music, but other small artists I spoke to weren't as open to the tech.
I love sitting down with my guitar and seeing what happens, and that's my personal process.
Genevieve Libyan says songwriting became a sort of therapy for her over time.
I've struggled with OCD for the majority of my life. My outlet for synthesizing those emotions that I was dealing with around that was music and songwriting.
Genevieve performed at Youth on Record's Underground Music Showcase in Denver last month.
And I'm so excited because I've been wanting to play this festival with me and my band for a while.
But this year's festival may have signaled a changing tide in the industry, thanks to the increasing popularity of AI generative music. Artists were invited to an AI masterclass.
So why was Boomy founded?
Hosted by Boomy.
What is Boomy? Boomy is a generative music platform that allows you to build songs from different styles, and it generates you almost a song base that you can then arrange, edit, change instruments, and customize any way you really want.
Cassie says Boomy's goal is to give artists of all ages, all levels of access to music making without the high cost of instruments, lessons, and studio time. Because access is a problem here in the U.S. A 2022 report shows that while 92% of public school students have access to music education, close to 4 million students do not.
All right, so this is Boomy.
So we gave it a try.
What we're gonna do first is we're gonna pick a style.
Let's go for lo-fi.
Okay, great.
I like dreamy.
So what it's done is it's generated some instrument groups, it's generated some mixing effects with a light rain, and now we're gonna add custom vocals.
This is Maya Eaglin with NBC News.
And so now it's putting all of those together and it's mapping the auto vocal with the song so that it kind of repeats within the beat.
That's fun.
Aside from the cool demo, Boomy reached a distribution deal with ADA Worldwide, the independent arm of Warner Music Group, last year. The deal aims to lay the foundation for how the music industry could potentially deal with AI-generated music.
Sometimes I lose my step.
Denver-based band Dog Tags is welcoming the change.
Think about how much more vibrant the Denver scene even could be if every person who is sitting at home with a song idea in their head had a tool that could start it for them so that they could show their friend the guitarist.
But not all musicians are on board.
Could you see yourself ever using Boomy or another AI software for your music? Any sort of like artificial intelligence feels kind of like almost an affront a little bit to that sacredness.
So write my name and put me on your list. I've been waiting for the...
Funding for arts and music education have been slashed in the last few years. In Oklahoma alone, over 1,000 music and art classes have disappeared from public schools between 2014 and 2018. But one thing that every single artist that I spoke to in Denver said is that finding resources and funding for music education is vital. It's just determining what those resources actually are that has yet to be figured out. Back to you.
All right, Maya, thank you so much.
Coming up, please stop the music.
After the break, the brewing back and forth between one of rock's biggest acts and the Trump campaign that's highlighting a pretty important legal question. Can candidates use a hit song during a rally without the artist's permission? We're breaking it all down up next. We are back now with one of the biggest debates this campaign season. No, it's not about policy. It's over the candidate selections for their playlists while on the campaign trail.
There's been a wave of artists and their estates that have asked the Trump campaign to not use their music during rallies. Some of those artists include icons like Celine Dion, Rihanna, and Adele. Well, now former President Trump's campaign is pushing back against a claim from the Foo Fighters, which said the use of its iconic song, My Hero, was unauthorized.
To see where the law stands on all this, let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos, who joins us on set. Danny, hello. Okay, so this gets confusing, I think, because you hear about artists, you hear about labels, you hear about estates. Who actually can say, yes, you can use it, or no, you cannot?
George Washington's campaign actually used an altered version of the English song "God Save the Queen." They swapped out, or King rather, right? No, swapped out King for Washington.
Whether this is a joke or not.
No, so political campaigns have used music since the beginning of our political campaigns, and for the 200 years that have come since, sometimes artists have objected to campaigners or presidential candidates using their songs. However, it really escalated, really accelerated during, no surprise, the Trump era. And now musicians are bringing legal action. And the way it works is actually more complicated than you might think. For the most part, Venues, like places where you have these rallies, enter into licensing agreements with these companies with names like BMI or ASCAP. It's the same reason that if you own a restaurant, you can't just play whatever music you like there. You have to buy it. Essentially, you have to buy a license to be able to play music at a venue. So these venues, if they have these ASCAP or BMI licenses, they can usually have access to millions, literally millions of songs. But now, those companies are allowing an out. If you're an artist and you say, hey, I know I've given my music over to this license, but if it's a campaign, if it's political, I want it out. And the companies are allowing that. Trump's team is saying, hey, we bought the license, we have the license, there is a license at the venue, we're going to use it anyway. That's where the conflict starts.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess you laid it out there. Do the Foo Fighters have a stand here? Can they say, no, you can't play our song, or can they tell the publishing company, hey, you have to get our permission first? Like, do they have an argument?
Yeah, the first step is to let BMI or ASCAP know, hey, you cannot use our song. And then it really becomes all contractual. The inquiry is, hey, are the Foo Fighters part of this licensing agreement? Nowadays, there's an extra license you have to buy, probably to the company's benefit, a political license. So if I'm a campaigner, now I've got to buy an additional license, and I may or may not have access. But it seems strange that if you bought into this license and then later an artist says, hey, I want my music out, well, what if you really wanted that music? The bottom line is, what does the contract say? Did the Foo Fighters validly retract their right to use this music, or was it never as part of the license to begin with? Then they have a leg to stand on, and they can sue, and they can get a cease and desist.
If you take out the contractual can you play it, can you not argument, and just look at why an artist would want this, I think it kind of has to do with their brand and it being associated with a political party maybe that they don't want to be associated with necessarily. Is there an argument there from a legal standpoint that this is brand reputational harm?
Yeah, Savannah, as always, you see the legal issues. That's another separate issue that hasn't really been fleshed out. It's not only a brand, but do you as an artist have a First Amendment right to not have your music associated with a political campaign that you don't agree with? In essence, are you being forced to speak for somebody that you don't agree with? Is it compelled speech? This has not been litigated, but it certainly is a valid concern, and it's something that artists may raise. But for most of American history, it's gone like this. The artist has sent a cease and desist, and the campaign stops using it. That's been the way of the world up until now. Trump has totally changed that. People are filing suit now, and it's getting litigated. Most recently, I mean, there have been already involvements with Rolling Stones, other artists who have actually sued. So we're going to get some case law developing in this area. But it's going to be both contractual, and it's going to have to do with the First Amendment.
So if the Foo Fighters can't stop this and the Trump campaign continues to use this music during its rallies, the Foo Fighters say they're going to take that money, they're going to donate it to Kamala Harris's campaign. Something obviously that they can do. This could be a decent amount of money we're talking about, or is it in the end not that much money?
It really depends on whatever their licensing agreement arrangement is with venues, but they can take that money and do what you bring up a good point. They are going to be profiting. It's a licensing agreement. They're going to get paid, but to them, the value of getting paid is less than being associated with a campaign that they don't agree with. But this is a really fascinating area of the law because it intersects so many different contractual, constitutional issues, and it hasn't really been fleshed out yet in the courts. So this is an emerging area of law. Really interested to see where this goes.
We think of big headlines in this space, like Taylor Swift, of course, when she fought. What else is new? But really, I think even if you're not me, you think of that when she fought to own her music, and you kind of think, doesn't an artist, like they wrote it, they came up with it, but there's all this going on behind the scenes. Do you think that at that intersection with politics, we could see more cases in this regard that kind of give us more framework for how this might be handled in the future?
Yes, and you're right. People are often surprised to find that an artist may end up alienating or no longer owning rights to their own music. The Taylor debacle, which we could do hours on, where she re-recorded all her her old songs and did Taylor's version. Yes, exactly right. Some artists lose the rights to their music, and they may not own it anymore. And then that creates an even thornier issue. If you've already given these companies the power to license your songs, do you really have the ability to come in later and say, yeah, but I don't like this political campaign? It's different than your music being played at a chain restaurant. This is a kind of political speech, and you might have a valid concern, number one, about your brand, and number two, that you're being essentially compelled to endorse someone that you're not endorsing. A lot of really tricky issues here.
Yeah, super interesting. Danny, thank you so much. That was a fun one.
Time now for some money news. Amazon is gearing up to revamp its personal voice assistant Alexa come October.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning to you. Yeah, so Amazon may launch its new Alexa AI subscription in October. The Washington Post reports internal documents suggest a subscription could cost as much as $10 a month, but the original classic Alexa will remain free. New features may include daily smart briefings or AI-generated news summaries based on your preferences. Amazon has sold more than 500 million Alexa devices, but the company has reportedly lost tens of billions of dollars on the business. The latest Hollywood drama appears to be over. Edgar Bronfman Jr., that's the media mogul and heir to the Seagram liquor fortune, is dropping his last-minute bid to buy Paramount Global's controlling shareholder. That clears the way for Skydance Media to buy the company. Last month, Sherry Redstone agreed to sell her company, National Amusements, for $8 billion to Skydance. That's the studio behind Top Gun Maverick and the Mission Impossible franchise. Bronfman made an offer last week, but reports say concerns rose over his ability to secure financing. And listen to this. Demand for sausages and brats could be an indicator about the health of the economy. A report from the Dallas Federal Reserve says an uptick can signal consumers are tightening their belts as they continue to deal with high food prices. There has been modest growth in the dinner sausage category, which the Dallas Fed says tends to grow as the economy weakens. It underscores the trends of shoppers choosing cheaper items and pulling back on total spending as inflation eats into their purchasing power, guys.
That is fascinating. All right,
Well, it
Silvana,
is. Yeah,
thank
wow.
you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah.
One baseball team from a small town in Florida has now earned a historic title on the world stage against some of the game's brightest future stars. The Little League World Series recently crowned its latest champion, with one young hero proving that winning isn't always about swinging for the fences. Here's NBC News Now anchor Tom Yamas with more on the thrilling conclusion to this year's tournament.
Bottom of the eighth, extra innings in Little League play. Man on second, Hunter Alexander at the plate for Lake Mary, hoping to just advance the runner against Taiwan when this happens. What a bunt. Taiwan's pitcher, Chiu Wei-za, along with his first baseman, both going for the ball, leaving the bag wide open.
Once you made contact and the ball started to roll, tell me everything you were thinking.
I was thinking just stay fair, stay fair. And then I look up and nobody's at first, and that was just great.
And when did you see him throw the ball like into right field?
Yeah. I mean, right after I looked up and then I see that ball flying by me, I'm like, let's go, and we won it.
Teammate Lathan Norton was the player who scored. The day before, he had to sit out because of a 102 fever. But on Sunday, when Taiwan committed that error at first, Norton ran as fast as he could, rounding third, stepping on home plate for the victory.
It feels pretty great. I mean, we won the Little League World Series, and I got the walk-off.
The walk-off bunt, a thrilling end for Lake Mary, but devastating for Taiwan, leading nearly the entire game to go down with a wild play at the end. For Lake Mary, celebrations on the field, outside the stadium, and all the way back in Central Florida.
I got like 100 texts right after the game just from my friends telling me, great bunt, good game, congratulations.
What do you think you learned from that game?
Keep fighting. I mean, we stayed alive and we kept it going and we never quit.
A victory not only for these little leaguers, but for the state. The first title for Florida after 9 tries, all because of that bunt heard around the world.
I love the contrast of a game-winning home run with a game-winning bunt. I think that's the coolest. Thanks to Tom Yamas for that report.
All right, coming up, yes, it's actually happening.
Yeah, the English rock legends Oasis are reuniting and heading back out on tour for the first time in 15 years. We've got all the details up next.
How many special people change? Well, fans of Oasis are definitely maybe about to find out. That's because the Gallagher brothers, Liam and Noah, who infamously split 15 years ago, just announced their reunion tour in the UK and Ireland. Fun fact, tomorrow is actually the anniversary of their official splitting up. But don't look back in anger. Tickets go on sale this Saturday. The tour is set to kick off in Cardiff next summer. 15 years.
A lot of folks are going to be excited about that one.
I know, it's very cool.
All right. We've all heard that putting trees in urban areas can help improve the environment. The plants can lower temperatures, store carbon, can even help increase the value of homes. Well, now a new study from the University of Louisville says that it has evidence they can do even more. Our Ann Thompson has the story.
Louisville, home to the Kentucky Derby, and the bat swung by sluggers little and big. This morning showing the country the measurable difference trees can make in people's health. Why did you plant here?
Across from us is the freeway, and it spews a lot of air pollution in this direction.
University of Louisville's Dr. Arnie Botniger leads the Green Heart Project. He says residents living in areas where tree cover more than doubled saw a key health risk factor, inflammation levels, drop as much as 20% compared to those who didn't get new trees.
Inflammation is the underlying cause for development of lots of different long-term chronic diseases, including heart disease, obesity, diabetes, and cancer. So if you decrease the levels of inflammation, then that will diminish the risk of these long-term diseases.
How much? Dr. Botniger says it corresponds to a 10 to 15% decline in risk of heart attacks, cancers, or dying from any disease. 35-year-old Nick Wyrens is a father of 3 enrolled in the project.
My body mass index did improve over the years. My cholesterol went down.
And the 7 trees they planted to buffer his backyard from the alley are pretty too.
For us, it has made our backyard feel a little bit like a sanctuary, especially closing off this alleyway.
The Green Heart Project is essentially a clinical trial in 4 square miles of South Louisville, cut in half by the Watterson Expressway. Here, researchers planted more than 8,000 new trees and shrubs over 6 years, transforming the expressway, vacant yards, and homes. At this house, where 9 arborvitaes now stand guard, the Nature Conservancy's Chris Chandler says it's all about what and where you plant.
So these trees here essentially act like filters.
Yeah, we call them biofilters. So we strategically designed the plant species and the configurations to intercept the air pollution that's coming off the highway.
And evergreens, which never lose their needles, work best.
That's what allows the tree to intercept the air pollution, whether it sticks on the actual needles or leaves of the trees, or it's absorbed into the tree through the tree's pores.
To Nick Wyrens, it just makes sense.
I think the more trees we can plant in urban environments, the better.
Our thanks to Ann Thompson for that report.
We've heard the song 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. Well, one Delaware man is putting that count to shame with his collection displayed on the walls of his basement. Reporter Tim Furlong from our affiliate station NBC 10 Philadelphia gives us a look.
Oh, no, I'll come home many days and there'll be 2 empty cans in my mailbox. There'll be 3 by the front steps. Everybody knows I collect.
Paul has a lot of friends, and they all know to drop off their unique beer empties so he can add them to his collection.
6,189.
That's how many items he has as of today. He has really old, valuable antique cans.
I was offered $1,800 for this.
And he has really unique new ones. They're on the ceiling, they're on the walls.
You got to have bathroom beers, too.
They're even in the Pilsner room, the powder room.
In 1969, I visited my brother in Wisconsin, and his roommate had about 100 bottles and cans on the wall, and I thought it was cool. I came home and I started collecting.
Paul's collection has now almost overtaken his Delaware basement. So you can see he is literally out of wall space for beer. So where would you go next? Well, behind this secret beer wall, they have this secret beer closet that will soon be lined with shelves for all these cans just sitting here waiting for their turn to be displayed. Now for the bad news for thirsty visitors like me. There are a few cold ones in the fridge, but all the beers you see
are all empty. Beer goes bad after several months in bottles and cans.
Paul's collection is cool. His wife, though, is even cooler, or at least more patient and understanding, especially considering she doesn't even like beer.
I don't really like it, no. I don't like the taste of it.
We're all Sam Adams.
But Debbie loves seeing how much Paul enjoys curating and showing his collection. If he's happy, she's happy, as long as the collection stays in the basement. Expanding it upstairs?
No, oh, no. And he knows that.
Oh, people come down, they would come down here and they say, Wow. It's like a museum.
It is like a museum, but one that unfortunately isn't open to the public. If you know Paul, he'll have you down here. If you see him out somewhere, buy him a beer, or at least give him your empty can or bottle.
Our thanks to Tim Furlong for a look at that impressive collection. Love that it's been put in the basement. All right, breaking news this morning. Israeli forces say they have rescued a hostage who was abducted during the October 7th Hamas terror attack.
Israel says that 52-year-old Kiad Farhan Al-Qadi was rescued in an operation in the southern Gaza Strip. So far, no other details about the operation have been released. According to the IDF, Al-Qadi is currently undergoing medical checks. He was in captivity for 326 days. We'll have updates on this breaking story throughout the day here on NBC News Now. That'll do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Don't go anywhere, though. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.